Good morning. Well, here we go. The Angel from the Sea. And from the beginning, I'm going to read again because it will stop me from spluttering and doing my usual thing. Oh my God, I apologize. I'm a liar. I've lied to you. I previously said that I never write about sex and violence. Well, how selective memory can be. Because honestly, I've never really rated this novel because it's not one of my better ones. And perhaps that's why I've suppressed it. But after listening to the AI voices, well, I have to ask myself, where did those words come from? And what does this story have to say about me? Anywho, the story. It's set in Edwardian England, and the narrative follows Clara, a young woman living under the oppressive and sadistic rule of her father, Reginald Trumpington, and his equally corrupt brothers. The novel details a household defined by ritualistic abuse, religious hypocrisy, and secret perversions, including a hidden pornography ring operated by the family's doctor. Central to the plot is a supernatural entity named Moganna, the Angel from the Sea, who manifests to avenge the family's victims and dismantle their social standing. Through a series of violent dreams and a catastrophic storm, the entity systematically destroys the men's lives and their grand architectural projects. Ultimately, the story serves as a dark, gothic exploration of trauma, female resilience, and the eventual collapse of a patriarchal dynasty built on cruelty. Well, there you go. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something, something pretty extraordinary. We're going behind the curtain of Edwardian respectability to watch a family, an entire dynasty, just collapse.
And in a matter of weeks. It's staggering.
We're talking about the Trumpingtons, a name that for a long time meant power, stability. You have three brothers, right? The pillars of their community.
You do. You have Reginald, the celebrated architect, Cedric, the respected doctor, and Oscar, the very zealous vicar.
And yet the sources we're diving into today show this entire structure just being shattered. It's consumed by this deep, dark pathology, abuse, and this elemental rage. It's almost supernatural.
I'd say it crosses the line into supernatural, and that's really our mission for this deep dive. This isn't just a gothic horror story. It's a reckoning.
Reckoning, I like that.
So we're going to analyze the sources by looking at three key areas, three vectors that lead to the family's ruin. First, you have the shared sickness, the pathology of the three brothers, which all starts with their childhood. Second, the life of abuse lived by Clara, Reginald's daughter. She becomes the catalyst, really.
Right.
And finally, the appearance of Moganna, this elemental force the sources call the Angel of the Sea.
And we're not starting this deep dive in, the fancy drawing rooms of their house, Copper Tree House.
No.
Even though that's where the rot began. We're starting somewhere else, on a beach.
A stormy, desolate beach. Because that's where the chaos was, in a way, summoned.
The initial scene is just, it's one of the most incredible details in the source material. It's Clara, the young woman at the center of all this abuse, and she's praying.
Intensely. She's standing next to this strange little tower of 18 stones stacked one on top of the other, like a small altar.
And there's a gale blowing.
A severe one. It's described as trying to rip her nightdress from her body. But, and this is the critical part, all around her is a perfect hemisphere of absolute calm.
Wow.
The waves outside are crashing against this invisible barrier, but inside, where she stands, the sea is, and I'm quoting, as stable and as static as a cup of English tea.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's this quiet, powerful, completely unnatural moment right before the real storm hits.
It's the prelude. That contrast between the violence outside and the calm inside, it's everything. It's the moment her human trauma, her desperate prayer for freedom,
Gets a response.
a direct and immediate response from nature itself. The sources say she was reciting these ancient words, prayers taught to her by her grandmother, Alice.
The radical grandmother. We'll get to her.
We will. And this act, this focused intention, using what was essentially forbidden knowledge, it creates that stillness. It's a signal to us, reading the sources, that some powerful non-human agency has been summoned, it's listened, and now it's paying very close attention to the Trumpington family.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Starting at the root, the architecture of their own pathology. Because this wasn't just Montaigne's evil, was it?
No, not at all. This is generational damage. It was incubated and passed down.
And it starts with the three brothers, Reginald, Oscar, and Cedric, and their own childhood, their father.
Their father, Alice's husband. The sources are chilling. He's described as an emotional mess, unstable, a man who tortured animals.
Oh.
And what he did to his sons was systematic. Secret, merciless beatings, forced nakedness, humiliation. He taught them that power was pain and the only way to be safe was to be in control.
And the sources have physical proof of this, don't they? Something they all had to live with every day.
They do. It's in Reginald's study at Coppertree House. A single nail, long and bent, hammered into the west wall.
The nail where the straps were hung.
The very one. And Reginald, the architect, obsessed with perfection. He tried to get rid of it. He had the wall plastered, painted, smoothed over again and again. But no matter what the workmen did, that little indentation, that mark of violence, it always remained.
A scar on the house itself.
A physical signature of pain embedded in the very structure of their home. And the psychological effect on the brothers was profound.
They wouldn't go near it.
Never. The sources are explicit. Whenever Oscar or Cedric visited that study, they would always stand on the other side of the room. They never got near that west wall. They were always conscious of it.
That shared history.
That unspoken covenant of pain that bound them and ultimately defined them. They spent their lives either running from that power or, more often, replicating it.
So let's look at how that manifested in Reginald, the eldest. Publicly, he's a huge success. The town's savior.
Right. He's the architect of the new harbor, this grand project he's obsessed with. He thinks it's going to bring him celebrity, a fellowship.
Validation.
That's the word. He sees it as his ticket to finally escaping the shadow of that childhood humiliation. But at home, it's a different story.
Like the architect of cruelty.
Precisely. Within Coppertree House, he rules. And the house itself is a reflection of his twisted mind. It was built by this mean-spirited spice importer, a Mr. Stick.
What a name.
As a Gothic monstrosity. A maze of narrow passages, tiny, useless rooms, confusing staircases. Reginald's cruelty, which comes directly from his father's abuse, it explodes into life the moment his daughter, Clara, is born.
Her first cry.
The sources say her first cry, instead of bringing joy, caused his testicles to tighten. And that's when the dormant sadism, the need to dominate, was unleashed.
And there's this great irony, isn't there? The man so obsessed with external structures, with his public image.
Is a wreck internally. He's a severe hypochondriac. It's the perfect psychological fracture. He can control the buildings, the harbor, the external world, but he cannot control his own body, his own memories. So he's constantly running to his brother Cedric for pills, for prescriptions, worrying about all these hidden diseases eating him away from the inside.
He fears the internal chaos.
Because that's the secret, messy violence he endured as a child and that he now inflicts on everyone else.
Okay, let's move to the second brother, Oscar, the vicar.
Who found a terrifyingly effective way to weaponize his pathology.
For faith.
Exactly. Oscar was a pugilist, a boxer in his youth, and that violence, it never left him. He still carried a cane. He just channeled all that rage into religious zealotry.
His sermons were notorious.
Genuinely. He wasn't subtle. We're talking hell and damnation sermons that went on forever. And the crucial part is he would name people. from the pulpit.
He'd call them out.
Oh, yes, the blasphemers, sinners of the flesh or otherwise. He'd name them, making sure the entire congregation felt stressed, guilty, anxious. He used God as a weapon of intimidation.
And the spiritual cruelty was linked to a very bizarre hobby.
Yes, he believed the local churchyard, St. Andrew's, was overrun with vermin, so he used the graveyard as his personal shooting range.
You're kidding.
With his air rifle.
Noir.
Believed he was cleansing a sacred space. And this obsession meant his son, his simple, slow son, Benjamin, was forced to go and clear up the bloody feathered debris.
What a horrible job for a child.
A grim, demeaning task for a vulnerable boy. This wasn't a spiritual leader. This was a man who found religious cover for his barely contained sadism.
And that leaves the third brother, Cedric, the professional.
The one who hid his corruption behind the most unassailable facade of all. The respected doctor.
He was a skilled surgeon, right? Practiced in London.
Immensely skilled.
Yeah.
But his life was defined by a boyhood accident, a testicular injury. He believed it set his life's path, resulted in his thin limbs, his chronic neurosis. He felt he couldn't keep up in London, so he moved back to the coast.
The story was that he was there for public welfare.
That was the story. But the sources are clear. He came back to pursue his lustful habit, his vice.
And the details of his surgery, the setup, it's just chilling.
It's premeditated malice. His surgery was in this dark, gloomy old bakery, and his examination table was rigged.
This is where it gets so technical and horrifying.
It is. There was a tiny switch disguised as part of the table that he operated with his foot. It completed a silent circuit.
To a camera.
To a high-quality, modified camera hidden behind a framed print of a smiling baby on the wall, positioned to take photographs of his female patients in their most vulnerable moments.
Calculated clinical abuse.
Completely stripped of any passion or impulse. The real shock came later, when Clara found his darkroom. Rows and rows of files.
On all his female patients.
Children, women. Meticulously cataloged, not just by name and age, but by hair color, skin tone. He used standard medical exams, even anesthetic. He used it on Clara herself as a teenager when she had a chipped molar to exploit them. He built an entire archive of his vice.
So you have these three brothers, each with immense power in their own domain.
Architecture, religion, medicine.
All perpetrating this sustained, premeditated abuse.
It created an environment where violence and secrecy were the only laws that mattered.
Okay, so that brings us to Clara, the eye of the storm.
Exactly. This next section is all about her, the focal point of all that abuse, and the forces trying to either trap her or save her.
Let's start with the physical reality of it, the weight of the cane.
Reginald's punishment of Clara was severe and constant. The sources describe her back and shoulders being covered in marks.
Not just one kind of mark.
No. Different lengths, different thicknesses. Some curved right around her shoulders, which suggests he used a bamboo stem, maybe even a whip. And the scars told a story.
A chronology of the abuse.
Exactly. Old, white, brittle scars from years of violence right next to new, raw welts, still bearing the signature of blood. She was a walking record of his pathology.
And while he's dominating her body, her mother, Agnes, is trying to control her future. But she sees it as protection.
Agnes is a critical figure. She's disabled in a wheelchair from a cracked spine after a bad fall, and she uses that disability as a shield.
How so?
She explicitly tells Clara, what Daddy says is not true, you understand. But her deepest protective act is to enforce spinsterhood on Clara. She sees it as a capital, honorable alternative to what she suffered.
Which was childbirth.
The agonies of the night, she calls it. She had child after child until her injury. So in her mind, she is saving Clara from matrimonial misery and physical devastation by keeping her single and isolated.
So Clara's trapped between her father's physical violence and her mother's protective tyranny.
A tyranny of enforced isolation. But there was a third path offered to her by her grandmother, Alice.
The spiritual guide.
Alice is this extraordinary counterpoint to the whole family. A woman of incredible courage and independence. She traveled alone to Africa and India, Bombay.
Which was scandalous at the time.
Utterly. And she learned chess, which the family called a game based upon war, another scandalous pursuit for a woman. She had this intellect, this strategic mind that the family actively tried to suppress.
And she passes that on to Clara.
She does. She studied the Hindu faith and passed this secret knowledge, these ancient prayers, on to Clara. Prayers Alice herself had used to ward off her own erotic feelings.
Wow. So she's acknowledging desire, inner conflict, things that are totally forbidden in that house.
Yes, and in doing so, she gives Clara the tools, the strength, to eventually stand up to Reginald. She was the source of Clara's conviction.
It was Alice who taught her about the queen in chess, wasn't it?
It was the most powerful piece on the board, unlimited movement, more freedom than the king, who is weak and constrained.
A powerful metaphor for the life Clara wanted.
It's the central metaphor, but before she could claim that freedom, she had this brief, failed escape with Christian.
Her adopted cousin, the stable boy.
They had this genuine, tender, undeclared love. And Christian, seeing how miserable they both were, he tries to propose. A simple life, work at the stables, a clean break from the house.
But Clara rejects him.
She feels she has to. She's so burdened by her father's rules and her mother's decree. She tells him, and it sounds like a curse, that she is not for work, for marriage, for babies, or for anything.
And that devastates him.
Completely. The sources describe him kicking the dust, furious, wondering aloud why other girls are so easy and she is not.
And that moment, that rejection, that despair from both of them, it creates a vacuum.
A perfect vacuum of rage and frustrated desire. And that is the vacuum that Moganna, the elemental force, steps into. The stage is set.
This is where things get really interesting, isn't it? We move beyond the family drama and into, well, supernatural reckoning.
Cosmic justice.
Yeah.
This is the arrival of Moganna, the angel of the sea.
And she is not a metaphor.
Emphatically not. She is an elemental entity summoned by Clara's prayer at that stone tower. Her first physical appearance is unsettling.
She collapses at Alice's funeral.
Yes. Wearing a deep green dress and just reeking of decaying seaweed. She is the embodiment of the wild, untamed nature that the brothers, especially Reginald with his harbor, have tried so hard to control.
And she makes her mission clear from the start. This isn't random.
Not at all. It is targeted revenge. She tells Luke later, "I want to ebb and I want to flow." It's the anti-Reginald mission statement. She says, "I desire to be unrestricted, and until I am free to flow, all of you who had anything to do with the creation of the harbor that stops me will suffer."
So her purpose is twofold. Punish the tormentors and destroy their instruments of control.
Brutally clear. And she starts with psychological warfare. These customized nightmares.
Let's dive into these because they are so specific to each brother's corruption.
They are chillingly perfect psychological portraits. For Cedric, the surgeon and secret photographer, it's all about forced amputation and public exposure.
A combination of his own trauma and his vice.
Exactly. He dreams he's in a surgery, but Moganna is there with a white-bladed knife. And she forces him to bite off Reginald's penis while she shouts, "I will photograph the event, boys." It connects his own pathology, the testicular injury, the camera, the clinical violence, directly to his brother's shame.
So the dream logic is revealing the links between their sins. What about Reginald's nightmare?
His is rooted in that childhood humiliation. He dreams he's naked in his bed, which has become the shape of a giant vagina and a small boat at the same time.
A structural impossibility that would drive him crazy?
And he's bound by seaweed, his legs splayed just like in his childhood beatings. And the threat. The threat is a giant, smiling stallion with bleeding teeth and enormous erection about to rape him.
But who's controlling the horse? That's the key part.
It's the ghosts of Alice and Benjamin.
Wow.
The two people who represent the spiritual defiance and the vulnerability that he's crushed his whole life. They are the ones controlling the instrument of his violation. He's being punished by his victims.
And Oscar, the vicar, his nightmare must be about sexuality.
Unbridled, unstoppable sexuality right in his holy space. He's in the churchyard, shooting his vermin, when he sees a completely naked Moganna walking among the gravestones.
As faith is no defense.
He tries to hold up his Bible, mutter the Lord's Prayer, but the image just multiplies. It ripples, it dances. Suddenly there are 6 of her, all whispering his name. He drops his rifle and just flees in terror. His entire moral facade is just ripped apart.
Moganna is a master manipulator, though. She doesn't just haunt them. She uses the people around them, Christian and Luke.
She's setting traps. She finds Christian depressed after Clara's rejection, and she seduces and rapes him in the stable. Calls it a rehearsal.
A rehearsal for what?
For the final trap. But this act is crucial. It corrupts the innocent love he had for Clara. And the sources give this incredible detail of the horse, Shane, just standing over them, watching the whole thing.
And she also goes after Luke, Oscar's missionary son.
She targets his morality. She finds him by the new harbor and just dismantles him. Asks him if he's still a virgin, forces him to look at her body, brings up the dark-skinned girls he tried to convert in Africa.
She's attacking his moral superiority,
forcing him to confront his own suppressed desires. He flees, and it's noted that soon after he starts to smell constantly of liquor. It's the beginning of his slide into alcoholism.
So all of this manipulation, psychological and physical, it all leads to the final setup.
The final trap. Clara, at her breaking point, conspires with Moganna.
She agrees to lure Oscar to a secluded cove.
Abbott's Cove. She wears a stimulating white cotton dress. The plan is to let him think she'll go through with it, then Moganna will intervene, save her, and punish him.
And at the same time, Moganna lures Reginald there.
Right. She tells him that men are at the cove bragging about destroying his architectural model of the harbor.
So he arrives expecting to find vandals.
And instead, he finds his brother raping his daughter.
And that's the trigger. The convergence of his architectural pride, his family shame, his entire history of violence.
It all collapses in on itself. He's seized by this murderous fury. He grabs a huge head-sized rock and just smashes Oscar's head in. Kills him instantly.
But he doesn't just kill him. There's one more detail.
The crucial detail. In this possessed rage, he pulls out his pocket knife.
And what does he do?
He stops.
Yeah.
And he carves 2 huge, crude capital R's into Oscar's cheeks. A grotesque signature.
So everyone knows who did it.
It's a mark of ownership, of power. It's the final horrifying confirmation that the cycle of abuse has come full circle and consumed them.
So after the murder, the whole thing just accelerates. It's beyond human control now.
Completely. Moganna's work, which started as psychological torment, now becomes, well, environmental destruction. The family secrets are exposed, and the structures they built are literally torn down.
And it starts with a series of rapid deaths and disappearances.
It does. First, Oscar's body is found, with those R's carved in his face. Then Benjamin, the slow brother, the one who was seduced by Moganna.
He washes ashore.
Naked and crushed, dead by drowning. The official verdict is death by misadventure, which is it's a chillingly inadequate way to describe what really happened.
And Christian disappears.
Feared drowned for days. He's eventually found, alive but comatose, in his father's house, completely unresponsive.
In the middle of all this chaos, Clara has a realization, doesn't she?
A fundamental shift. She understands she's unleashed something she can't control, so her focus changes from simple revenge to complete and total exposure. She knows the only way forward is to burn it all down.
And she goes after Cedric.
The most secretive of the brothers. She goes to his house, finds the dark room unlocked, and sees it all. The rows of files, the photographs.
Including pictures of herself?
Taken when she was a teenager under anesthetic. The betrayal is total. So in this focused rage, she destroys everything. Tears up the photos, mixes the darkroom chemicals until they're burning through the floor.
And Cedric comes home to find it all gone.
His life's work, his secret, ruined. His shame exposed. And with Reginald's murder of Oscar now public, he knows retribution is coming. So he takes the coward's way out.
He kills himself.
With a syringe of pale gray liquid from his silver escape box. It was a pre-planned clinical escape from accountability.
So that's 2 brothers dead, 1 about to be arrested. The stage is set for the grand finale.
The final physical reckoning from the Angel of the Sea, the storm it accelerates with this unnatural, terrifying speed. Reginald is in his study, and he's having sex with Moganna.
A final delusional act of control.
And as they climax, she begins to transform. She turns transparent, she's dripping water, and her body is filled with images of fish darting back and forth, a living statue of the sea.
And the atmosphere itself reacts.
Violently. The air is sucked out of doors, a decompression wave, then an explosive force that shatters the seafront, and on the horizon, a colossal tsunami wave appears.
The Great Wave.
And it's carrying the 15,000-ton French merchant ship, the Gallant, like a surfboard.
And it smashes right into the harbor.
Directly into and through Reginald's new harbor. His life's work, his attempt to control the sea just crumbled. Destroyed.
The ultimate symbolic act.
It's nature's revenge. And the wave doesn't stop. It devastates the whole seafront and washes right into Coppertree House itself.
And that's when Clara confronts him.
He's emotionally and physically collapsing in the ruins of his own home, and she throws the photographs of Cedric's abuse in his face. The final painful truth.
And he turns on her.
Snaps completely. Slaps her, chokes her, screaming, "None of you are my family." He's finally subdued when Luke and the police arrive.
So he's arrested.
For everything. Fratricide, aggravated assault on an officer, possession of obscene material from his safes. The public wants him to hang, but he gets a last-minute reprieve. A life sentence.
And what about Moganna? Her mission is complete.
Her departure is quiet, but definitive. She's fully transparent now. And she finds one last victim in the wreckage of the harbor. A young French sailor, crushed, dying. No more than 14. She stoops down, speaks to him softly in French, and a single tear drips onto his cheek. And then she just merges back into the foaming sea, disappears into its unsounded depths. Her work is done.
So what the sources are really showing us at the end of the day is this deeply moral story.
I think so. It's profoundly gothic, but it's moral. The internal corruption of the brothers, all stemming from their father's cruelty, it couldn't stay contained.
It had to manifest externally.
And it provoked this violent cosmic intervention. Moganna didn't just punish the tormentors. She shattered the physical structures, the harbor that they used to restrict the natural world. The House of Trumpington wasn't just pulled apart. It was pulled apart by their own darkness, with a huge push from the sea.
So what happens to the survivors? What's the final status of the family?
It's a fractured world, but maybe one that's starting to heal. Agnes and Isabella, Reginald's wife and Oscar's widow, they're leaving town together. 2 survivors of tyrannical husbands forging a new life.
And Luke.
Luke stays, the recovering alcoholic. He feels this profound duty to stay and rebuild, to try and put right what his family did wrong.
And then there's Clara.
And then there is Clara. She chooses to stay in the ruined house, waiting. Christian is still in his coma, and she's waiting for him to wake up. She visits him every day.
And she tends to the chessboard.
She tends to the chessboard she set up by his bed. She's the guardian of this new fractured game now. She's not a pawn. She's not a tracked queen anymore. She controls the board.
So here is the final thought for you to take away from this deep dive. The sources are very clear on this point. Clara never tells another living soul about her contract with the Angel of the Sea. She's the only one who knows the truth, the only one who understands the true nature of that storm and the mechanism of her family's destruction. So now that the male tyrants are gone, and she holds this immense, dangerous secret knowledge, the knowledge that she can, if she chooses, call upon the sea.
How will she use it?
Exactly. How will she use that power to shape the new world for herself and Christian? And what does it truly mean for Clara Trumpington to finally be unrestricted? Something to mull over until our next deep dive.